Hi, I'm Senator Chuck Schumer. I'm the Democratic leader. I'm so proud to be here with two of my best and taller colleagues, Cory Booker and Ron Wyden. It's not that often I'm the shortest senator in the group. But we're here to talk about a very serious subject, which is the decriminalization of marijuana, to take it off the federal list that makes it as serious a drug as heroin or cocaine. Is that ridiculous? And for decades, young men who were arrested with a small amount of marijuana in their pockets served long prison terms, and then they had a felony record and could never make themselves right. This was long overdue. And then what we learned is when states decriminalized or legalized, all the horrible stories that people said, crime rates would go up, people's drug use would go up, never materialized. One of the first states it happened in was yours, Ron.
Correct.
Right? And isn't that what happened?
Absolutely. And look, the bottom line here, as the leader, Senator Schumer, has said, is it is long past time to address the harms of the failed war on drugs. And my state was one of the first, and people went to the polls and they said this marijuana prohibition, folks, just doesn't work. And certainly communities of color have been devastated by these failed policies. And I also want to highlight a point the three of us have talked about, and that is so many small cannabis businesses have been hurt by this. And in effect, they said, you know, our people voted to legalize, and then all of these out-of-date federal policies came along after the people of Oregon, for example, voted to legalize it and got in the way of our small businesses.
And now the American people realize this, that the making marijuana such a serious offense, instead of taking it off the list and decriminalizing it, makes no sense whatsoever. There are many one reason, freedom. If people want to use it and it doesn't do harm, just like Oregon showed, let them do it. Second is the issue that so many lives have been wasted because marijuana has been listed as something as bad as heroin. But third, it has so hurt communities of color. And one of the things we want to do is not simply decriminalize, but make sure that records are expunged so that people don't live their lives as if they committed the most dastardly felony because they smoked marijuana. And second, we want to make sure that the resources, the money that comes in from the legalization and selling of marijuana goes back to the communities of color that have had borne so much of this burden. And Cory's been a leader in this whole issue, but particularly pointing out how the certain communities were so badly affected.
Well, there's a lot of reasons people should be excited. And the first is the two gentlemen sitting to my left. They are two of the more powerful people in the United States Senate. You have the majority leader and the chairman of the Finance Committee. This is a tremendous trio we now have.
But we've got you.
I appreciate that, to be a part of this.
And we're the first caucus. I'm the first leader of a caucus to come out for decriminalization. He helped persuade me to do it.
It's historic to have this. So if you are watching this, that's one thing to be excited. But the second thing to be excited about, a lot of states are moving for just legalization. We are actually, and you heard the remarks of both of my friends, that this is about restorative justice. This is not a problem in the past. In 2019, there were more marijuana arrests, and most of them, over 90% for possession only, more arrests like that than all violent crime arrests combined. And the problem is—
Isn't that incredible?
Yes. And the problem is that it's not everybody that's getting arrested. This is not a war on drugs, it's a war on people, and certain people. Veterans are disproportionately arrested for possession of marijuana. Low-income people, disproportionately arrested. People with mental health challenges, disproportionately arrested. And of course, as you said, Chuck, black and brown communities are targeted. In fact, African Americans and whites have the same usage rates of marijuana, but blacks are 3.7 times more likely. And that's why what Chuck Schumer said is so urgent. It's not just about creating an environment where states are legalizing. It's about restorative justice. And that's a number of things. That's one, making sure that we expunge records don't talk about free adult use of marijuana without talking about expunging records. Number two, the tax money. This is going to be a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah.
Those tax receipts should be reinvested in those
communities that were hurt. So we want to move this bill. It's time. The American people are for it. States that you would never think, when they had a ballot initiative, have said, let's decriminalize. We want to move this, and we urge all of our friends out there to let their senators, let their congressmen know this is long overdue. It's an issue of justice, 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 as well as freedom.
And millions of Americans now, like the folks I have the honor to represent, have gone to the polls, and they have said that they agree with Senator Schumer and Booker and I. And I don't think they're going to accept any more dawdling from the federal government. It's kind of like the federal government's been in a time warp. And one of the things we said in Oregon as we debated this, how about we come up with some policies that at least get our state into the right century on these issues? And my sense is with the leadership of Leader Schumer and Senator Booker, we're going to do everything we can at the Finance Committee, which will have jurisdiction over some of the issues that my friends have talked about, like taxes, where the small business person is always telling the three of us they're not getting a fair shake. We've got a real shot now at making progress.
Time to move. We're ready.
And one thing I love that my colleague, who's the chairman of the Finance Committee, understands and focuses on is the fact that this is also making sure that these tremendous business opportunities are being created. This multi-billion-dollar business is not just the sort of big Wall Street-backed money interest. It's actually a fairness.
We don't want the big tobacco companies and the big liquor companies to swoop in and take over. The legislation we have will make sure that smaller businesses in communities of color get the advantage, because the communities of color have paid the price for decades. They should at least get something back.
Amen.
The three of us are going to be introducing legislation shortly, and it's exciting and it's imperative, and we will get it done. Okay, good work, my friends.